Yeah, hi guys, it's Saturday the 7th of October and what a month it's been. We got the release of my latest book, which is fantastic. Little plug there. Final word. Brilliant, worth a read. Hopefully you'll all have some very good positive comments on it. You know, it's always controversial. The things that I write about are always very controversial. They're obviously open to people's individual interpretations, but I welcome positive and negative comments. That's the only way we can move forward, really, I guess. So, what we're talking about today, I want to talk about a section in that book, and that's about Grail judgment, or judgment as a whole. Now, within our own lives, we always have some kind of judgment, as it were. We have judgment as we're growing up, or we have the fear of judgment from our peers, our elders, our friends, our loved ones, all of those combined. It's almost like a real big social pressure, you know, and as human beings, as social beings, we're always thinking about, oh, what does that person think of me? Or what does that person think of me? Or did I present that in the correct way? And it's quite interesting that we go through our lives always seeking that form of judgment, yet fearing it at the same time. And then we come through to death. And that's one thing about death as a whole aspect. Some people say that life and death are opposites. They're not. They're the one and the same. Life and death are literally a process. Death is a process of life and vice versa. It's almost like the Ouroboros repeating itself in many respects. Now, everyone has their own religions, their own belief systems, and where they're coming from. Different countries have different views on death. Some speak about it openly, some people don't. But one thing we always think about, or many people do, and if you don't think about it now, I guarantee that when you are at your 11th hour, when you're at your moment's end, that beautiful point of moment ends, that you will have this sort of, oh, have I done everything in my life that I should have done? Have I treated people right? Have I treated people wrong? What have I done to help others? Is this going to, if there is this afterlife that some believe in, is this going to be where we think we've done the right thing? And I think that's all you can ask of anyone, is that if you do the right thing, then you're certainly in the right direction. So, what we're looking at today is about that right thing, and the section called Grail judgment. Now, Grail judgment is rather an interesting aspect because it covers two components, as it were. The Grail, we all know about the Grail, but what is this Grail thing that we all seek, that we all want to know about? And how does that apply to judgment? Well, let's read that section as it goes through. So the chapter starts off with how splendid it is to sit with each other in harmony, to know that those that surround you are true and pure of love. It is by such love that we are able to move ever forward in our journey towards the truth of existence, and more importantly, the purpose of merely being. It is true that not only is the being able to progress to the onward height of such splendid sight, but further that the soul itself is permitted to enter into an agreement with those whom see and observe. It is by such observation that the soul, as we believe, as many believe in the soul, is enabled to venture towards that place of eternal understanding, that place of eternal existence. One must never be complacent about such things, for it is the complacency upon what is known as the earth that has allowed such greed, and more so such jealousy, to take hold of everyday living. I can never emphasize this particular point enough, and I think it is important to talk about that, really, to be fair. But moving on, I continue to write about only having life what you need. And I talk about that a lot, about only ever having life what you need, and that's so important in many aspects. Of course, people have different things that they like to keep hold of. But the key point here is to have one car, have enough clothes that will last 2 weeks, as an example. Have 3 pairs of footwear. Do not fill your homes with pointless products of commercialisms. Remember, you cannot take any of it with you on your journey after this life. So, at what point do we say we need that product? And then at what point do we say, well, actually, I don't really need that point, that can go to charity, or I might pass it on to a friend or someone who might value or benefit from that particular item. But I think the key part I'm trying to say here is Lead a simple life. I'm not saying to be like a monk and have just the clothes on your back. I'm saying have things in your property around you that have meaning and purpose. Don't just go and buy something because it looks nice. If you have a picture, perhaps it was a picture that your grandma took or you took, and you've had it put onto canvas and you've got it on your wall. That's meaningful. That's something that's meaningful. If it's something that you just bought down run-of-the-mill shop, oh, I've got this picture of a film poster. Well, who cares? It's no meaning to you in your life, is it? Surely. So only have what you need. And as I say, you can't take it with you on your journey after this life. I continue within this particular chapter to say, believe me when I say that many have tried to take their things with them, yet failed miserably. It is fair to say that when we look around our homes, we may see things that we truly like. And that's okay, but don't just like them, as I say, have that meaning behind them. You see, meaning in everything in life. It means everything in life, and more importantly, in existence. There must be a meaning, or rather what is meant by this, is that there must be a purpose. To have a purpose is a wonderful thing, we know that. To be able to recognise one's place in the cosmos, as it were. However, one must be conscious of the fact that there may be no purpose at all. Yet it is fair to say that you may have a purpose, or feel like you have, on earth. But when you leave this mortal coil, when you cease to exist in this particular realm, what purpose will have you really served? We know that most will be dissolved as a phrase, and that's certainly a thing that I write about a lot in books, about the dissolution process, and that's quite a different subject area, probably for a different video set, but I certainly write about it within my books. Most will come to a natural end, and that's it. No shining lights at the end of the tunnel, no past loved ones coming to meet them at the pearly gates, as it were. They will pass and cease. Their brain and all functions will close down, and there will be no more. We know that there will be others whom travel to their judgment, and this is a point that gets quite interesting. And as you may suspect, a large portion of these people will fail their judgment. No, they're not going to just go to hell, because that doesn't really exist. That's a human-made environment. Hell, as we know, is the earth. The sky above and the ground below. The ground below is hell, or H-E-L. It's not down there in the pits of fiery smoke and some strange object creature with horns pumping out of his head. That's all man-made. So it's a slightly interesting take. There is indeed a lighter side to all of this, as we know. There will be those who receive judgment and pass it. Brilliant. And enabling them to move ever onwards towards their journey in space and time. It is fair to say that some may travel beyond the boundaries of their imagination, and that others may be required to return to the Earth so to assist in their development, almost like a form of reassignment. I hate to use the terminology of reincarnation because that doesn't really play well in my own mindset. As written in many of my books throughout the years, the Earth must be considered as a realm of sorts. Admittedly, to most on the surface it will seem secure and in material form, yet it is far removed from such a solid platform. There's many people out there that are sort of waking up to the idea or the option, the purpose these days of saying, well, actually, are we actually living in some kind of matrix, some kind of hologram, as it were? You know, and it's an interesting point. It's a little bit far-fetched for some, but it's on the right track, it's on the right path. Everything you do in your lifetime is recorded. Let's bear that in mind. And the main points, both good and bad, are truly assessed at your point of death. And I think you always go through that, because when you die, and I've died a couple of times and come back from heart attacks and things, and I've had some interesting experience. You do have that weird sense of flashbacks about what's gone on in your life and what you've done right, what you've done wrong, or what you think you've done right and what you think you've done wrong. Lead a humble life, perhaps, if you can. Hard in this modern world, really, but try and lead a humble life if you can. During this, there will be times that you have not been so welcoming to others or towards people of your own species. You know, your own species, as it were. Times you embrace greed, yes, I think most human beings have, and were certainly gluttonous, and I think we've all been gluttonous to a certain extent. And times where you were allowed your ego to control your thoughts, so to create jealousy. Ego is a wonderful subject area, and again, that's already something for a different video. We probably won't have the time today to talk about that. But generally, as a rule, when we're looking at the Grail judgment, we just need to make sure that we've gone through and done the right things that we think we've done or should have done, and your own gut feel will literally tell you that. Within the book itself, obviously, if you do plan to read it, I've provided various accounts of what you may consider to be angels, and how such a species are able to encourage you to make decisions. I refer to ancestral lines and the races, but I certainly make reference to the genetic code that is hidden within the humans within existence on the surface of the earth, whilst exploring and raising and placing of energy. I certainly provide detailed accounts of ceremony for the right of the wanted and covering levels of the void. Now, the void is a really interesting subject area too, but it makes you wonder. You've got to go through the chapters and read about the void and see sections in there about it, because it's a fascinating subject area. I think that's probably as much as I'll talk about the final word today. The main parts is that, which I quite like on the back section of the book, on the actual back section there, I love what's written on the back there right at the bottom. The author challenges the reader on their predetermined way of life and encourages them to step outside the box for a moment in time. In doing so, the words contained within this book shall come to life in a way never imagined before. Now that I find quite fascinating, in the ways. A lot of my work, as you would know if you know me or know of me over the years, is inspirational. A lot of it is research as well. I travel to many places to get the religious beliefs, the cultural beliefs, and mostly how people live, really, their way of life in different countries, which absolutely fascinates me. Final word, hopefully that'll fascinate you. I hope you enjoy the read. I'm always open to questions. You can catch me on YouTube and leave a message. You can catch me via email or even Facebook. But most of all, I hope you enjoy it.